Okay, let's check audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything looks okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Audio is good. Everything looks okay. Let's look at the. Let's go to the home screen. Secret Science Sunday, Wednesday. Dark matter, dear Amanda Knox, you're seriously wrong about. What is derivative calculus? Panel discussion with whatever about what? Iridium Kush? Hypno whatever. Conservative forces deriving the curl. Dot physics. Full-scale war. Will Israel, Atheist Republic, will Israel bomb target? I think Israel needs to kill these guys like they did with Hezbollah. Find a way to wipe out these bunch of losers. And this is going to really hurt Putin. Putin is going to suffer because Iran is a big producer of weapons for Putin. This is going to take Iran out of the war with, what do you call them? Ukraine. Slava Ukraina. Ring theory. What is ring theory? Biden foolishly says no to Israel attacking Iranian nuclear weapons facility. Yeah, because it's just before the elections. It's going to hurt him. But Israel doesn't want to help Kamala. Kamala hates Israel. Kamala is basically an anti-Semite. So Israel should hurt Kamala. Israel bans head of UN. Why is Einstein mass energy equivalence so famous? 24 minutes. 44 minutes of Schrodinger's equation. I guess it's in Chinese. Francois Bellou is wrong about war crimes. This is an F-15. This is an Israeli F-15. It's designed to be an interceptor. This is the best thing I think for like to intercept enemy jets. It's the dual engine, but it could be. I mean, it's multi-role. I think they use it for everything. Full math proof course. Wow. I'd love to take the time to do proofs, to learn proofs. Closed line integral of conservative field. Wow. Time independent Schrodinger equation. This guy seems to really know his stuff. I mean, he's no joke. I mean, it's like you would think that he's like not serious because he has a big YouTube. Like he's a YouTuber. What could a YouTuber know? And doesn't have a PhD. But no, no, no. The way he talks, it sounds like he knows his stuff. I don't like him that much because he's like probably pro what do you call it? Global warming agenda. Mm, the logic structure of scientific theories. Wow. Okay, this is good stuff. Let's listen to this. Hmm.
Among integer or real physical theory. Logic plays an important role in the foundations of mathematics.
Oh no, it's an hour and 46 minutes.
Well, it turns out that it plays an important role in the foundation of physics as well. A physical theory, in the end, makes certain statements about the world. And their logical relationship, its internal logic, gives us the most fundamental structure. The difference is that these are statements about the world, things that we should be able to verify experimentally. So how do we capture this logical structure? What is the correct mathematical structure that we should use as a foundation for all our physical theories? How does it connect to the higher level mathematical structures we use in physics?
Where? No, thought you left. Welcome back anytime. Yes, please. Can you send me a link? This should be interesting. La 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 la.
Can we justify this structure from physical requirements? These are the questions that we're going to answer in this video. We will start from scratch and layer axiom by axiom, definition by definition, starting from the basic idea that we're describing a set of statements whose logical relationships can be fully defined by the possible ways these statements can be true or false. These statements may be associated with tests, which may or may not terminate, and whose
Why is he not sending me a link? What's he waiting for?
result will determine which statements are true and which statements are false. This will indeed take a lot of time, so let's get started. We're going to look at two sets of axioms. The first set I call the axioms of logic because they define the fact that we have statements, and statements must have a well-defined logical relationship between them. The second set of axioms are the axiom of verifiability. Instead, allows us to keep track of which statements are experimentally verifiable, which statements have associated tests, and what properties and what the things we can do with those statements. And in a nutshell, the first set of axioms essentially recover standard logic, which mathematically is a Boolean algebra, and the second set of axioms recover what is called intuitionist logic, which is a Haydn algebra. And a mathematician might just say, why don't you just assume that you have a Boolean algebra and a Haydn algebra and be done with it? And that's a problem. We can just assume that we have math. We have to show that our physical requirements lead to that math. Because while a set of statements fits the definition of Boolean algebra, not everything that fits a Boolean algebra is a set of statements. So we still need to know exactly what it is that we are describing. And just saying that we have a Boolean algebra, first of all, doesn't tell you what actually you are describing. And second of all, it doesn't tell you why must you use that structure to be able to achieve that goal. So that's going to be our purpose. We go through these things. We'll see why we do things in a particular way. First, we set up the logic, and then we set up the verifiable part of the logic. So let's start with the idea of a logical context. So the idea is that our statements don't just come out of nowhere, but they're all grouped together by what we call.
What's he waiting for? Why isn't he sending me a link? Anyway, let's listen. This is very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to follow. This is like very difficult stuff. I mean, at the end, I usually figure out everything, but it's sometimes takes me a very long time.
All logical context. So these are the things that we want to say. We're going to have things like definition. These are just mathematical definition. We're going to assume that there is a Boolean set.
So he's not going to read every word and explain it? I have to read it? I hate reading. Definition 1.1, the Boolean domain, Jesus, is the set B equals false, true, of all possible truth values. What? I don't know what that means. The Boolean domain is the set of B false true of all possible truth values.
domain that has two values that are false and true. And of course, the mathematical, the formal part does not know what true and false means. It's just two possible values for our logic. And what we would like to say is that a statement S.
That's so funny. False and true at the beginning have no value. We didn't define false and true. This is so funny. This is like the foundation of everything.
Is an assertion that is either true or false.
Okay. Axiom 1.2. So definition 1.1, axiom 1.2. Axiom of context. A statement is an assertion that is either true or false. A logical context, S, is a collection of statements with well-defined logical relationships. I have no idea what this means. Formally, and this is the informal part. Now we're starting the formal. Formally, a logical context, S, is a collection of elements called statements upon which is defined a function truth S such that B. I don't know. What is this arrow? S leads to B? I don't know.
And the logical context S is a collection of statements with a well-defined logical relationship between them. And of course, if you start like
we need an example for everything. Everything needs an example and to be explained.
This for a formal system, you talk to a mathematician, they're going to tell you, oh, this is not precise. What exactly is a statement? What is true or false? What does a well-defined logical relationship mean? So again, this is the informal definition, right? Because this is where the physics live. This is where the real concept that we want to model exists. And then we have to take part of those ideas and formalize them into the math. So we're going to say that formally, a logical context S is a collection of elements, a set, and each element of the set is called a statement. And in this context comes equipped with a function that for each statement is going to give us one of these Boolean values.
Oh, it's a map. It maps for every S, for every value S, logical context, there is a B set of either false or true or something. Who knows?
Each axiom, each definition that we're going to have two parts. The informal part that tells us what elements in the physical world we are actually trying to characterize. And what we're trying to characterize really here are statements about the physical world. And then there's a formal part that tells us how the elements are characterized by the formal system, how they're characterized. And each axiom and definition must have a justification. And
so this explains this. We didn't read the justification. As science is universal and non-contradictory, tell that to the quantum mechanics people. It must deal with assertions that have clear meaning. Oh my God. Tell that to the quantum mechanics people. Well-defined logic. Tell that to the quantum mechanics people. Logical relationships and are associated with a unique, that's it, with a unique truth value, I guess, either true or false, whatever. Informal and to formal. Each axiom definition has two parts. The definition is two parts. Informal part tells us what elements in the physical world we are characterizing. This is like the doomsday weapon against all my enemies. 1 second. Let's rejoin the crazy server. La 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 la. Am I in the right place? Live. Let's see. How many people?
Exist, but if I could make that happen, that'd be great. It depends how delusional the flat earther is. If they can keep it out of their family life, they can keep the kids. But if they're trying to indoctrinate the kids too much, we may as well take them away. Just depends if they have good families to go to.
Yeah, you can tell this guy's not American, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck your freedoms, bitch.
Yeah, average European.
Well, you wouldn't say that here.
Why can Americans never pick an Australian accent over a European accent?
When is he going to notice that I'm muted? I'm server muted. I'm welcome to join back as server muted. This is unacceptable behavior. Let me ask him. Now he's gonna bring the conditions under the condition that you will abide by our rules. I guarantee he's gonna condition it. La 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 la. Anyway, I'm gonna wait for him. I'll give him a couple of minutes. I don't think anyone. Oh, I didn't didn't invite anyone to join me. Nor did I invite anyone to join them. This is their server, the link to their server. La 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 la. Yeah, are you going to release me from jail? Orthographic views need a container. Okay. Oh, I can invite with this. So BTNB? Yeah, that's a good link. Okay. So we will wait. Meanwhile, let's continue. I don't know. I mean, this is like a doomsday weapon. I can defeat any enemies of my definition of science. I mean, this is. You could argue that this is my definition of science. Is this a definition of science? No, this is just informal physics, formal math. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Argues why the mathematical characterization follow from the physical one. And here, and if you want, you can go in the book and see exactly how we justify it, and then you can argue whether our justification is correct or not. But the idea is that we're starting from the idea that science is universally and non-contradictory, and so it must deal with assertions that have clear meaning and a well-defined logical relationship that are associated with a unique truth value. And so that's basically what grounds us and what
a unique truth value. Okay.
Allows us to say, yes, we must have this collection of statements, and this collection of statements must be part of a logical context that defines the logical relationship.
No meta bitching. Like I did meta bitching.
Say what, please?
No, I'm not going to, Marty.
I heard the guy say it. He goes, because it's the convenience. You're in the drive-through window. You're paying for the convenience.
Told you he would condition it. There's no way he's gonna let me in unconditionally.
Economic thing that you got involved in that wasn't just like go and doing work. Like, do you invest at all?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Do I have wealth or money in the stock market? I haven't had money in the stock market in 15 years.
Okay. Do you have an IRA? What's the
I
other
have
one, American
an Uncle
stuff?
IRA.
Do you have like crypto?
No, I don't gamble or do online.
What's your retirement? What's your retirement plan then? Do you have a retirement plan?
Retirement?
Yeah. Like, I currently have a small business. I'm not like expanding, but it's set up with a lot of contacts. So it's a sellable entity. And I've got a house that I paid more into than I do into my superannuation, which is our government savings. So between the house and the business, I can sell off the business and dump all that money into my superannuation, where it'll keep expanding in value if I want to move on to another job, or I can expand the business and then I'll have something to sell that's worth a chunk of money later on, and I can also use it to purchase assets. So all of that is kind of my retirement.
Oh, what are you
And
gonna
I will
do?
put some into super.
You gonna argue with people all day about the shape of retire?
What do you think I'm doing right now? Do you think I'm sitting at home?
No,
I think
he's
you didn't answer me
currently
the same question.
he's currently giving all of his
Okay.
money to immigrants right now. He's
Based.
from Australia. Yeah.
Yep. I'm at work, mate. Marty, I'm at work right now. I'm doing a job.
What do you work as, Stocks?
I've just got a little business where I clean up houses for sale. So I'm taking a guy's shit, going to repair a few things around the house, give it a clean, and then the agents will have photos taken next week. And
Yeah, it didn't sound like you were in an echoey room like you usually are.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm packing clothes right now for an old fella that's gone into care.
That's a brilliant idea for a business.
Yeah,
Really?
people that own their own business like yours,
How old
dogs.
is your dad?
I was saying you. I was joking. So remember you said I was your son yesterday and 24/7.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, it's a boring conversation, so I don't care. So I'm gonna go to my server and wait for anyone who wants to join. Let me link my server. So la la la. Let me put this link here. And my link is QA. So where's my? Let's go to my channel. 185. We keep we gain one, we lose one. We're growing so slowly. We keep we gain one, we lose one. So I want to remove this. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, this looks very difficult.
And what is it exactly that we're talking about? So again, if we look at the relationship between the informal system and the formal system, an axiom is something that brings an object from the informal system to the formal system and specifies what these things must be. Definitions instead are things that work within.
Wait, this is a definition of an axiom? So what is this is definition 1.1. This is like the title. This is what the meaning of a definition is. This is the definition of an axiom? He says the definition here is the axiom brings objects from the informal to the formal definition, further specializes formal objects. I don't get it.
In the formal system, and further specifies.
Axiom and definitions should be formulated so that they are easy to justify, not so that they follow trends in mathematics.
Formal object. So you're going to have an axiom brings in a certain object, and then the definition says, oh, these parts are going to be have this additional property, these other things are going to have additional property. And the rule, how we choose axiom and definition, is because they are easy to justify, because they make sense physically. It's something trivial that we can write the justification for. In the same way that oftentimes you define mathematical objects in a way that they're easy to work with mathematically, to prove theorems or to do calculations. So here is not that different. It's just that what we need to do is different, because our main goal is to justify those axioms. So again, if we just said, oh, we have a Boolean algebra, that's much more difficult to justify. We just say that there are some statements and there is a logical context, and these statements must be either true or false. And so what we should be doing is follow trends in mathematics. A mathematician comes in and says, I don't know, axiomatic set theory, that's what you should use, or category theory and so on. Well, all of those things are good for doing math in a way that a mathematician wants to do. But if we have to do math in a way that we need for physics, we need to start from things that are justifiable for the physics, and they work at that level. So, okay. Another thing that is important when we go from the informal system and the formal system is that
That's an amazing rule. Your axioms and definitions should be easy to defend. That's the most important thing.
The physical objects are fuzzy. We're never going to be able to take a physical object and really, really fully.
Physical objects are made mathematically precise by throwing out everything that can't be made precise. Syntax, grammar, meaning can't be made precise, so are not part of the formal system. What? Statements are primitive objects.
Specify everything. So even when we say the mass of the electron is, I don't know, less than 1 gram, there is a lot to unpack there. We need to exactly define what an electron is, what a gram is, and so on. And all these definitions, as we saw in a previous video, will have a little bit of hand waving.
What previous video? Oh my god. I hate it when they say previous video.
Exactly, when we define a gram, we're never defining it to infinite precision, yet we talk about infinite precision and so on. So what's happening here is that physical objects are made mathematically precise, they're made crisp. We have...
So I've been told that everyone hates my video. They hate me. That I'm really hated. Whoever gets me recommended hates me. That's what what's her name said? Amber. She said everyone she knows that knows me that has been recommended my channel hates me. Which is sort of like a compliment that I'm hated. It's like they are, whatever they see, they're so deep. Like to them, it's so alien that they cannot relate to me. That's incredible. I'm wondering why I'm so hated. Let's ask Amber. Let's ask her. When you have time, I want to ask you to ask your friend who said that they hate me to please ask them why they hate me, or even better, if they could please join me in a discussion so that I can ask them why they hate me. La 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 la. Let's see what's going on with Globe Banksters.
Tax.
Oh no, she's going to screw over not everyone, just the people that own like 50 homes, trying to control the market to keep prices high.
Oh, so BlackRock. She's trying to take down BlackRock.
Not take them down, just make the market more favorable for individuals.
Stop.
BlackRock. You
BlackRock
tried it.
Not...
Someone said it was political, but kind of forget. I'll ask again for you. They also said you are from Singapore, but you are private, so I don't ask. I talk about it. Not like it would matter to me. So what if I'm from Singapore? If I were to be from Singapore. Anyway, if you could introduce me to more of your friends, that would... La 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 la. Let's see.
Oh, you're saying that you have the real number now?
50 trillion. I said United States total housing market 50 trillion is what it said.
Yeah, what's 2% of that?
1 trillion, fuckface.
All right, well, you're right. All right.
Well, thank you. I pulled it out of my ass.
Well, regardless, it's a tiny
Well,
number.
I mean,
What
what's
else
in
is
your
in
mouth?
your ass? What else
What's
is
in your mouth?
Hey, Marty,
what else have you pulled out of your ass today?
The globe.
Yeah. See, the point is, Marty, the majority of the housing speculation is done by people that own less than 5 homes. The vast majority. That's what they mean when they talk about investor ownership.
Where were you when you remember where you were when 9/11 happened, right? Everyone.
Yeah, it was in
Where
the
were
UK.
you? Well, how many years prior to the bubble in 2009?
I'll try.
Memory around that time, and then I don't remember it awfully well. I remember my mom. There was a banner at a business that said something like they would give a discount once the Dow went back to 10,000 or something, and she's like, "Oh, that's never going to happen." That's all I really remember.
Do you remember like years of hearing about the bubble and the housing market and all the propaganda up until it got to squirt, right? You know?
No, I don't. I don't remember that. I didn't have. I didn't really watch TV or anything at the time. So.
Well, I do, and we're going through the same shit now.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the so the housing supply it's a supply issue. That's all it is, and most of the supply issue is caused by local regulations.
Yeah, here in Phoenix, they're allowing you to build a house, a caseta in your backyard.
Well, that's good at least. Most places don't allow those.
They should have been doing that literally.
Oh yeah,
20 years ago, probably.
A lot of these local governments and HOAs have excessive regulations on what you can build, and that's the cause of the housing prices. It's not so much greed and speculation. I mean, the White House even said this, and they have every reason. The Biden White House has every reason to say it's corporate greed and speculation because that goes along with their politic. But they have a study, and I can link you to it, that basically shows that there's a very strong pattern between the number of housing starts and the current price, which is just basic economics. And most of that reduction in supply is due to them not building entry-level housing.
I'm thinking of how far off you were on the total housing market.
Oh, well.
Wouldn't you like to have $1 trillion in pure wealth?
Sure. But when you talk about the actual problem of housing prices, 2% of the market, yes, it makes a difference. Yeah.
I think you said crisis.
Oh. Well, it is sort of a crisis.
Okay, so the housing market pricing crisis. Please continue.
Yeah. But it's not caused by these. First of all, Vanguard owns almost 0 homes. BlackRock owns almost 0 homes. It's Blackstone that owns a significant amount of homes.
And that's how they mind fuck you. You know, like I wouldn't. Is it Cold Stone Steve Austin or Stone Cold Stone? You know? Yeah.
But it's one that irritates me because people make Vanguard out to be this like evil corporation when they're the ones that democratized access to the stock market and exposed the predatory mutual fund market and actually made it possible for ordinary people to earn decent returns in the stock market. None of that would have been possible if it wasn't for Vanguard.
Well,
and they had every reason not to do that.
So Blackstone owns what, 90% of the stock market?
No, that's not how it works, Marty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm certain that's not how it works. So you're mistaking the difference between being a custodian and actually owning things. They hold assets on behalf of people that are invested in their mutual funds. That is not the same as ownership. It does give them ESG voting rights, which I think is an important issue, but it doesn't allow them to effectively control the stock market. That's another misconception. Because at any time, they have to maintain those funds in a manner that when their customers sell their shares and they rebalance their ETF, they are not in a position to hold on to those shares, which means they do not have de jure ownership of the shares.
Okay, so just like you're saying, Blackstone is the world's largest alternative asset manager. Obviously, I'm reading this with more than $1 trillion in AUM. What does AUM mean? We serve institutional and individual investors. So they're the pimp. They're just the fucking pimp.
AUM
and then here you have
under management.
Who owns most shares of Blackstone Group? Vanguard. So you're saying Vanguard is the boogeyman?
No, I'm saying they're the opposite of the boogeyman. I'm saying that Vanguard is the one that made it possible, that started the ETF revolution and made it possible for ordinary schmucks like you and me to invest money in the stock market without getting ripped off.
So ETF, you're saying the electronic funds transfer?
Specifically, not so much ETFs, but index funds specifically. Because ETFs money mutual funds are sold as closed-end funds as ETFs.
All right. So how much control does the Catholic Church and Washington, D.C. have over us? Total?
The Catholic Church in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, Satan himself.
I don't think the Catholic Church has very much influence at all beyond the fact that it influences people's politics in the sense that they have certain political opinions, especially when it pertains to things like abortion. So on the pro-life movement, that's probably their strongest influence.
See, I'm not worried about abortion. If I had a wife and she got an abortion, I wouldn't have a wife anymore.
All right. That's your choice.
And it was hers too. Tell us what you're eating.
Chick-fil-A.
Polynesian sauce?
Polynesian sauce. No, just the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Better be original.
Why can't you get where do you get Pistol Pete's sauce? Is that at Chick-fil-A?
Who the fuck's Pistol Pete?
Pesco Pete? Something.
Oh my god, is that Mr. Slave? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Texas Pete.
Texas Pete.
Wait, Marty, can I ask you a question?
No.
Go ahead,
Mr. Slave. I'll answer any question you have.
So, I see a correlation.
Once Mr. Prime here asks you a question on my behalf.
What?
Mr. Prime, ask him question number 1 for me, please.
Define focused.
What? Define focused? I don't. Like,
Come on, concentrate real hard.
I mean, there's many. Like, in what context? Like a person who's focused, light that is focused. What do you want? Like, why do you want me to define focused?
It's part of the game. I forgot what the next one is, but the third question or fourth question is: have you ever now, or do you now have you ever or do you now possess functioning female genitalia?
Real? Hold on. C-Line, is this song real?
The one that AIEX just posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just made it.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Mr. Marty, the question is, so I'm assuming you're a flat earther, so you believe in the conspiracy of the flat earth, but you now seem to also believe in the conspiracy of like some financial conspiracy. So you don't just believe in flat earth. Oh, he's
Yeah, Marty.
He's muted. He's self-muted.
Yeah. Well, we got to this We got to this because we were talking about he said something about Blackstone, or he said something about BlackRock owning a bunch of houses, and
You guys ever get a hot stone massage?
yeah, but I'm gonna refrain from the joke I was about to make. So,
Mr. Prime, I posted a meme for you in chat. Can you ask question number 1 to Mr. What's his name?
I already did. Didn't you hear me?
No, Mr. Slate. You didn't ask. Look in chat.
Marty, but you're not answering my question.
Sorry. Will you agree to answer a series of questions?
Sure.
Mr. Slate?
Yeah, sure.
They're yes or no questions, and you can ask me anything afterwards. Question number 2: is English your second language?
Yes.
Question number 3: are you AI?
That's a deep question. I
Yes
There
or
we
no?
go. We got 3
Yes or
questions.
no? These are all yes or no. You
You.
agreed?
no, I would say I'm natural.
Question number 4, 2-part question. Do you pay your taxes? Do you trust your government?
Since
Yes and yes. Let's move on.
I plead,
Question number 5. Do you now or have you ever worked for any of your government's secret intelligence agencies?
That's on you, Mr. Slade.
obviously I cannot disclose any personal information. If I work, if I did, then I would say no, and if I
Yes or
didn't,
no? Yes or no, please.
no.
Question number 6. Do you now or have you ever had a sexual fetish for any of the following? Ladyboys, femboys, trannies, furries.
Who?
No. N- n- well, not directly, like forced. Yes.
Just for the audience,
Question-
can you? What was the 4th option? Just for the audience.
Furries.
No. Just
We don't need to know
Confusing.
anything else, Mr. Slave. Question number 7. Will you now or have you ever accepted Jesus Christ into your heart as your Lord and Savior?
no.
Question number 8. Do you now or have you ever had a functioning female reproductive system?
No.
Question number 9. Do you believe such a thing could exist as a perfect circle?
That's a good question. No.
Question number 10. What's Earth shape?
What is the shape of the Earth? Is that the question? The shape of the Earth? My audio, my connection is dying. Tell me when I'm back.
You want the question?
Oh my god.
Government cutting your communications.
Wait, what was? I'm sorry, my audio is completely mangled. What was? Oh shoot. Can you hear me now?
You guys,
No.
Can you hear me now? Oh my god.
Hello?
I think there's like an
Oy
issue.
vey! Oy vey! Shut it down!
I think it's a Discord issue.
Yeah.
here we are. We're all here. What's up, Zara Mars? You can't hear me.
What was the last
All right,
question?
question number 10. What's Earth's shape?
It's it's between a sphere and flat.
Do you
Pear shape.
know? Do you know the world famous, world renowned astrophysicist with more hours on YouTube proclaiming the word of scientry than any man known alive? The man with bigger hands than the ever expanding universe itself? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I know a lot about him.
He'll say, there are more stars in the night sky than there are grains of sand on all the world's beaches. Earth's highest tides are caused by the gravitational pull, when both the moon and sun align with Earth, pulling her oceans out. If you were to measure the distance between Earth's highest
sexual.
mountain peaks and her lowest ocean lows, it would be but the depth of a fingerprint when compared to Earth's mass size. Earth's shape is not but a yes or no answer. She is an oblate spheroid.
Dude, I'm getting aroused from this. Slower.
Pear-shaped.
Fair
That's the
shit.
second man today to say
Pear-shaped.
he was getting a boner while hearing me
Mhm.
do Neil deGrasse Tyson. Swear
Say
to God.
pear-shaped again. Say pear-shaped again.
Pear-shaped.
Ooh,
Wait, I have a theory about this
my
very.
favorite shape.
Listen, I have a. Okay, I have a theory about this very server. Do you want to
Uh-huh.
know my theory about this very
Yes.
server, this very room right now? My theory
Tell us.
is that it's mostly gay men.
I
Yes.
think that could
Yeah.
be true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly closeted, but definitely gay.
Ask me how I know.
Oh, you just know you can smell it.
No. Ask me how I know.
But I already know how you know. You can
No,
smell
it's
it.
very deep.
Yeah,
No.
you smell all the Vaseline, huh?
Well, omnivore is not.
Baby oil.
Wait, omnivore, no, but yeah. So, sea lion, do you know?
Yes, we
Do I
know.
know what?
Well, the theory
Just
is
say
that
that you know.
this server is mostly gay. Do you agree, sea lion?
Yes.
Me too.
Do you know what could be causing it? Why are you guys here? Why are you
It's
gay?
easy.
Well, because hold on. Professor Parks is in VC, so let's move away from this conversation. 'Cause I
Why
think-
are you gay?
How's it going, Professor Parks?
What's up, Osco?
What's up, Martin? What's up, everyone?
I'm going to steer things away from this conversation. Yeah, we will come back to this conversation at a later time.
Sure.
What's the conversation?
Why everyone on the server is gay was the topic that we had. However, because we have your presence, maybe you could talk to Mr. Slave about his aether theory. I hesitate to call it a theory, but maybe we could be nice to him about it.
Okay.
All right,
Oh,
Mr. Slave, go ahead.
Real quick here. Mr. Slave, do you have any questions for me?
Who's you? I never know who's speaking.
Exactly. I talked to this guy for 20 minutes. He wants to ask me a question, Prime. He answers 10 of my questions. Then he's oblivious on what he wanted to ask me. He has no questions for me at all.
I asked
That's not
you.
his fault. That's not his fault. It's because the aether is flowing through his brain at 11 kilometers per second and it's interfering with the propagation of electrical signals.
You know,
Happens to the
the
best of
ether
us.
may be, the reason this server is so closeted.
Perhaps
Perhaps.
So who's got the
Yeah.
ether theory?
Mr. Slave does.
I do. So,
Okay.
Professor Parks, PhD. Okay, so my ether theory is as follows. I combine the luminiferous ether with gravitational ether that I invented with quantum ether that I also invented. I'll start with
Okay.
so I'll
Do you have
start.
patents for this?
So far, so good.
Okay, so I don't have patents, no. So I'll start with the gravitational ether. So the reason the apple falls from the tree towards the ground, accelerates towards the ground, is because there is a liquid that fills the universe and it flows into the earth, dragging the apple along for the ride.
Okay. What is the fluid made of?
I don't know. It's
How do you know that the fluid exists?
Well, it's the only explanation I have for this universe. This fluid explains gravitation. I've never heard of any explanation for gravitation. GR
I'm sure you have.
have not. GR is not an explanation for gravitation. It's just a description. It's basically Newtonian. It's the same as Newton. It's just description of the phenomenon of gravity. It's not about there's no.
The mechanical aspect of it is that space time is curved.
That's
The
not.
physical reality is
That's not.
actually curved.
I don't. That's
That it
not.
is not flat.
That's not a mechanical explanation.
How is it not a mechanical explanation?
There's no cause and effect. There's nothing causing something. There's no.
Mass energy causes the curvature or the geometry of the environment around that mass energy. The mass
Oh.
energy is the cause of the curvature. The curvature is then the cause of the motion around that mass energy.
Okay, so why does mass cause curvature?
Now that is an excellent question.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
But it seems to me to be a better explanation than a fluid that you don't know exists or where it comes from. Like you don't have it. Your answer is there must be a fluid there, but there's no evidence for this fluid. You don't know what it's made of. To me, I am more compelled by relativity because at least I can see a cause and effect. There is a mechanism there. Whereas with this fluid, I see nothing. So
here is the neat part. GR sits on top of my fluid. GR doesn't contradict my fluid. GR is just a description of a phenomenon we've noticed that my fluid cause. My fluid is the mechanics, and GR is just a description. SR, similarly, is just a description of, again, the fluid. The fluid causes SR mechanically. SR just describes.
how does the fluid? So I don't understand what you mean by the fluid describes SR. So one of the postulates of SR is that the speed of light is constant at a certain velocity, or a certain magnitude. So how does the fluid cause that?
So that's actually my first paper. Let me introduce it into. I'll submit it into the room.
Just make sure that this time the link isn't editable, Mr.
Yeah,
Slave.
yeah, it's not.
Show them the revised version first, if you like.
Yeah, you have to show them the edited version with our brilliant comments first. Then.
Yeah, so you can take a look at this paper, and there's pictures there that are very easy to understand relatively. This proves the
I see what you
postulate.
did there.
You see what I did there?
Relatively, yeah. Never mind. Go on.
So, I'm sorry. No pun intended, obviously. So,
Yeah.
This paper basically proves basically, if you assume a fluid, then the speed of light is a consequence of assuming the fluid. So in this paper, I take a rubber ducky, I put it in the bathtub, and we move it. And the rubber ducky it contains a device to measure the speed of the waves, but the way it measures is a constant distance divided by time, but it doesn't have.
Sorry, I'm still
Mhm.
rubber ducky.
Yeah, I wanted to create a toy for
Why a
babies. It's to prove that my ether gives us SR that a baby can understand. A baby can play with a toy and see time dilation in front of their eyes. Because my belief is that science and physics completely can be understood by a little baby. So SR comes out of.
Really? Are there? I'm sorry. Keep going.
So
I'm still wondering how physically the fluid constrains the speed of light, and you can spare me the rubber ducky. I would like to know physically what is the mechanism by which it does so.
So the way I'm not gonna say the name if you don't want me to. So the way that the device measures the velocity of the waves of water, is it has a constant distance. It has an emitter and a detector. An emitter.
You are detailing a description. You were telling me how something moves relative to a medium. You are not giving me a physical mechanism, a cause.
I don't understand. I mean, if you would understand why this device that you don't want me to name, why this device measures a constant speed of waves in a water on water surface as it
Yeah.
is being moved stationary, moved back and forth, sideways, no matter how you move it fast, slow, the device will always measure a constant speed of surface water waves.
And what is causing that constant surface water wave?
Okay, so it has an emitter, a wave emitter that just
No. I don't care about how it measures it. I care about why it is measuring the constant wave.
What do you? Well, I don't.
What is causing the constant wave?
I mean,
The constant speed of the wave.
okay. So the velocity of the wave is
Yes.
defined as the distance, as a distance divided by time measured. So the distance. So there's the device contains an emitter and a detector. The emitter
Yeah.
just the emitter just taps on the water and creates a shock, a wave that travels in all 360 degrees on the surface of the water and then is arrived, it's detected by the detector. And that is
Yes.
and that is the tick of a clock. That is the only clock available to the device. So the device is measuring the velocity that it takes a wave to travel from the emitter to the detector, but the very clock depends on these these waves, unbeknownst, because that is the tick of the clock. The tick of the
Yes.
clock is itself the
The
time.
tick of the clock produces the wave.
No, no,
Correct.
the tick of the tick of the clock, as far as the device is concerned, it's ticking. It has a it's ticking where it's also
Yeah.
clocking because then the detector becomes an emitter and sends a wave back to the original emitter that now becomes a detector. So you get a ping pong. It's very similar to Einstein's uh, thought experiment, the photon clock, but instead of a photon, it's actually water surface waves. So it's tick tock, it's tick tocking, and as you move the device through the water, you see time dilation. You see the clock ticking slower. But that is the
Do you see
clock.
time dilation or do you see the Doppler effect?
No, time dilation. You see the tick tocking slows down. You see literal time dilation. You can do the calculation. It's the Lorentz
You've done it.
transform. There's actually a video by Dialect.
You've done the calculation. So you can measure or you can see measurable time dilation
Yeah.
in a bathtub.
Dialect.
Wouldn't that be problematic in real world scenarios? Because the reason why we don't see time dilation in the real world is because you need to be traveling a fairly significant fraction of the speed of light in order to measure it.
Right.
But you're telling me that by moving a rubber ducky through water in a bathtub, I can see time dilation in actual effect. I am actually seeing that the time of the rubber ducky is that rubber ducky appears to be aging slower than I am.
So I put in the side chat a video by Dialect.
I'm on my phone. I can't see videos.
Okay. So my thought experiment is based on their video, on their thought experiment. They show the calculation. They derive Lorentz transform for time dilation using a clock that is based on sound. So instead of in water, so they show time dilation. They didn't show that their device, like what I did. I went like one step back and I said, okay, let's discover why because it really bothered me. Why is the speed of light a constant? Because everybody
Yeah,
says
and you still haven't answered that question.
it's because, right, I did not. So, but this device that I described measures a constant speed of water surface waves. And
Okay.
that is because its clock works, it tick tocks through these or using these water waves. The same water waves are the clock that is used to measure the speed or the velocity of water waves. And this is exactly the conundrum in which we find ourselves in this universe when it comes to measuring the speed of light. Everything, every device, and even our consciousness, as Einstein explained, is based on the speed of light. And as we move,
How is our consciousness based on the speed of light?
because everything inside, the electrons move slower.
Okay.
The
So
photons,
yes, all right. So effectively, the speed of thought is the speed of light. Actually,
yeah.
probably a little lower than that, but all right, sure. But okay, so what is in your description? What is causing um, the speed of light to be constant with the fluid, with the etheric, or with the gravitational fluid? How does that answer the question? Why is the speed of light constant?
So it gives you the mechanical explanation. So right now, like every device I would use, as I'm moving through the ether, everything that is moving through the ether is experiencing time dilation, so that my clocks slow down as I'm moving through the ether.
Why? I still don't see the physical mechanism for what your
Oh,
fluid is
I'm
doing.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's the next step. So I introduced my ether that it is gravitational and it is quantum. So there are no particles in my theory. This universe has absolutely no particles in it. Everything in this
Okay.
universe is a wave. All the quantum elementary particles are only waves.
Okay.
So everything is waving through the ether. So
Okay.
so as I'm moving with my apparatus to check the speed of light, I'm time dilated, and I can never notice. So I'm always measuring the speed of light a constant, just like the device we just described. And that's the reason why the speed of light is a constant. It's because the universe is filled with the ether. The ether was never a
But
problem.
how does the ether again,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm repeating myself. How does the ether physically prevent the speed of light from being 4 times 10 to the 8th meters per second?
No, the speed of light is some constant. That constant, what?
Sir, I actually think you got that wrong. It's 3 times 10 to the 8, actually.
Oh, he meant.
Actually, my question was,
Yeah, I
why
understand.
can't it be?
I understand. Right. So the question is, why not 4? That I don't know. That depends on the permittivity and
Then
permeability. Right. So
then
that's
I would say that you have not actually answered that question. You
no.
have not actually answered the question as to why the speed of light is constant.
What do you
If you
mean?
can't tell me why the speed of light is not, how the ether claims that the speed of light is constant and cannot be exceeded, then you cannot say that your theory has explained that aspect.
I mean, my theory mechanically explains why the speed of light is some constant, not specifically the known speed of light.
Okay.
It's
All right.
some
Then how does it explain that it is a constant?
because as I'm moving, as I'm it doesn't matter what I do. Whatever I do, I'm influenced by moving through the ether, and I get time dilated, so that
Relative to what?
relative to the ether, there is a preferred frame of reference, that is the ether.
So if the ether or an observer within the ether?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, SR still
Doesn't matter.
holds. My theory doesn't. My theory sits beneath SR, GR, and quantum mechanics. There's no contradiction. It's just um, what do you call it?
So curvature of space-time would be the curvature of your ether?
No, no.
Then I don't see how that is the underpinning of GR.
GR is just a. It's GR just assumes some behavior of gravity, which I don't deny, and it puts it into the math. That's all. And I don't deny the equivalence principle.
Yeah.
The equivalence
But
principle. The equivalence principle is right. It holds inside my ether, right? You couldn't tell if you're
what
accelerating
I'm mhm.
or.
What I'm trying to wrap my head around ultimately
Mhm.
is, why is the ether needed? If it's the underpinnings, then why is it needed?
Well, without the ether, you have to postulate a constant speed of light. You don't
Okay,
explain why the apple falls, and
you do.
I've never heard an explanation why the apple falls. And I've
When the
listened.
apple falls, the apple is now becomes an inertial reference frame. There are no forces acting upon the apple. So therefore, the apple is free to move along a geodesic, which is defined by the geometry of the mass energy in its surroundings.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's
Well, now you have an explanation.
no, it's not. That's not a mechanical explanation. There's no.
How is that not a mechanical explanation? It is traveling through literally curved space-time. No forces are acting on
Okay.
it. It is
Why?
moving in between two, the shortest distance between 2 points.
But we've been through this. Why is space-time curved? What's causing it?
because of the presence of mass energy. Now, why the mass energy curves space-time? Okay, I get that, but I get that that is an unanswered question. But can you answer that question with ether?
Yes.
What is it about ether that causes the curvature of space-time?
There's no curvature.
Okay, so then it's
Curvature.
not the underpinning.
Yes, it
Then
is.
it's not the underpinning of GR.
Look, okay, fine. Look. So here it is. So it indirectly causes it. So ether creates gravity, creates the equivalence principle. So
How does
ether.
ether create gravity?
So ether, my gravitational ether, flows into the Earth right now. So and
How does gravitation? How does ether create gravity
it flows.
mechanically?
Yeah, it interacts with the electron in the apple. And the wave electron in the apple now has to swim up this current, this 11 kilometers a second current, into the center of the Earth.
What
And
is it? What is causing that electron to move in that particular direction?
the well the tree's holding it. The stem of the tree, the stem of the apple is holding it. So
Mhm.
there is a chain reaction. At the end of the day, this electron is pushed by the electron beneath it, but they're all at the end of the day, they're all swimming upstream, and they're
What I'm asking is, when the stem breaks and the apple is no longer connected to the tree, what causes the apple to go down towards the ground?
so the electron waving inside the apple is interacting it's experiencing this stream and it's getting dragged. It's going for the ride. It's going along for the ride with the stream. It's accelerating. It's
So
accelerating hyperbolically to the maximum speed of the ether. It's going to accelerate
it's not
forever.
hyperbolic, but it's all right.
No,
Um,
no, I think it's. What do you mean? Not hyperbolic. What do
are
you
you
call it?
saying that the acceleration of the apple is hyperbolic?
No, not hyperbolic. What do you call it when it accelerates forever? Asymptotically. I'm sorry. Asymptotically. It accelerates asymptotically to the speed of the ether. The ether flows in at 11 kilometers a second by my calculations.
Okay.
So it's going to forever accelerate, but
You mean would it be actually 11.2 kilometers per second?
nah, it's about 11. It's based on newtons. It's just it's.
That would be the escape speed of the Earth. Yeah.
Oh, that's the number. That's why that. Oh, that's interesting. So it's just that's funny.
So you still haven't told me why the electron is coupled to the wave.
The electron.
What is it that couples the electron to the ether itself?
The electron.
What is the physical mechanism?
The electron is a wave of ether. The photon is a wave of ether.
But an electron and a photon are not the same thing.
Sure. All elementary.
Unless you're saying they are.
No. They're all composed of ether. They're all just waves of ether. They're waves in.
So that means that we are all waves of ether.
Correct. This universe, everything we see and know, except for the empty space, everything is waves in the ether. The empty space itself is the ether. But the apple is, yeah.
So in that case, I'm trying to figure out how that functionally is any different. I mean, if everything is ether, then nothing is ether. The Invincibles told me that. I learned that from the movie Invincibles.
Yeah.
If everything is ether, nothing is ether.
Yeah.
So therefore, ether doesn't exist or is not needed.
No, it's without ether. I don't understand why you.
How is ether separate from the rest of everything else? You're saying that without ether, you can't describe motion, but what you're describing is the motion of ether by ether.
I would say without ether, I don't understand why the speed of light is a constant. I never understood it. Now I understand it. Without ether, I don't understand why the apple accelerates towards the ground. Now I know it. Without ether, I never knew why there is a particle-wave duality. Now I resolved it. It's all waves, and it simplifies quantum mechanics to a level that now I can begin. I haven't resolved all of quantum mechanics, but now at least so many things make so much sense. Everything is so simple. Quantum mechanics becomes classical mechanics. Finally, I can start studying quantum mechanics, and I'm having such an easy time. Until now, it was like a brick wall. I couldn't crack it. 3 months ago, I didn't know any of this.
So when, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So when you say study quantum mechanics, what do you mean specifically? Are you doing any kind of experimentation of using, say, a particle collider or any kind of scientific equipment to actually make a prediction, test that prediction, and see how well those predictions match?
No, but I've seen videos.
Honestly, it sounds to me like this is a explanation that you yourself can understand, and then you are extrapolating that out as having to be the truth that we all live in.
You lost me. What?
So you're saying that because you don't understand how an apple falls through space-time, then it cannot be real. it cannot be true.
I never said that. I've been always looking for a mechanical explanation, for any explanation why the apple. I've listened to many YouTube videos of real, physics commentators, physics explainers, physics teachers, like
Science communicators
science communicators,
would
like
be
the biggest names. And I've listened to all of them. And until 3 months ago, I was completely on board with mainstream. I would have answered everything just like you answered everything. So I would have said, yeah, GR, space-time curvature, everything.
So
SR.
what those science communicators are describing is our current understanding of what reality is, or how physical phenomenon within our observed reality, how they function from a predictive standpoint.
Yeah. I was completely, and I'm still on board with mainstream physics. And I'm just saying, until 3 months ago, I had nothing to say. I was just always trying to understand, and I could never figure it out. And 3 months ago, I came up with the. I came up. I mean, it came out from just looking at Newton's gravitation, and it just came out. And in the beginning, I only had gravitational ether, and I couldn't sleep all night because I couldn't handle how could there be particles if the universe is filled with this fast-moving ether? How could it be moving? How can I be moving my arm, my hand? Where's the resistance? I couldn't figure it out. And then the next day, I asked someone, and as I was asking them, I said, like, the only way this could make sense is if there are no particles, if these particles, the subatomic particles, are themselves waves. And then I said to myself, wait a minute, now I've just resolved the particle wave duality. So,
well, quantum mechanics actually kind of already says that. But my question to you is
exactly.
So my question to you is, so you tried to understand this from YouTube. I would recommend actually going to a book and going it that way. But you tried to understand through YouTube. You couldn't wrap your head around it. So, and then you've come up with this idea of gravitational ether. Is your idea of gravitational ether?
That's not how it happened.
Supposed to be.
That's not how it happened.
Is that?
But that's not how it happened.
Okay.
I was just looking at Newton's gravity, and I was thinking, if I put a particle at infinite distance from Earth, by the time it crashes into Earth, what would be its velocity? And I was imagining that there could be infinite test particles, but Newton says they could each be massless. So then I got the feeling, and this so you say ma equals gmm over r squared, like you want to see how fast an object accelerates towards the ground because of the force of gravity. So you say f equals ma and f equals gmm over r squared, so f equals f. So ma equals gmm over r squared, and the m's drop out. So what you get is a equals gm over r squared, but a already gave me this feeling of curvature. So a is already, usually in calculus, we say a is like the curvature.
Okay.
The second derivative is the curvature.
I think we're moving away from, no, the second derivative, a is not the curvature. As I said before, something moving through space-time is not accelerating. Like the apple that is moving towards the Earth as we observe it, that is moving in a straight line path, and the Earth happens to be in its way.
Yeah.
So there is no acceleration. So the space-time is A is not the curvature. But what I'm getting back to is, what I'm trying to understand is your idea of the ether, the gravitational ether. Are you putting forth that is the predictive, or that is the physical mechanism?
Yes.
Via which scientists should now use as a way to predict future phenomena?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can.
But you're not doing any experimentation.
No.
You're not actually demonstrating this through experimentation.
Right. But
you are simply asserting this as being true because you understand it, as opposed to understanding relativity and quantum mechanics.
No, I said no multiple times. No, no, no. No, so there is
Okay.
an experiment that I think I can offer. First of all, we know why now we know why Michelson and Morley failed. I think we
They
know.
didn't fail.
Well, they got a
They
null
didn't fail.
but they got a null result.
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
but I think we can explain their null result because of length contraction. The length contraction, I think, compensates exactly for the time dilation. So an interferometer can never detect an ether. That's true. So
So you're talking about Lorentz. You're talking about what Lorentz postulated was that the physical motion through an ether causes a physical
no,
contraction.
no, I don't believe that. You don't need that.
Then,
No, Einstein
then
explained.
why?
Einstein already said there is length contraction. So the
You
length
already
is.
said that there was like.
So I
So
take.
why is there length contraction?
Well, Einstein explained. I don't need to repeat Einstein. So I believe SR. SR is a result of the ether.
But no. You do have to explain because your ether is what is causing. You've already stated that, or we already shown that your ether and general relativity are not compatible with each other.
No,
General relativity
not true.
describes is there curvature in space time? You've already said no to that question.
No, it's GR. GR is fine. GR is a mathematical description of gravity. Gravity, I agree. I don't disagree with anything that mainstream physics says. I agree with everything Newton said.
Does space time have curvature?
There is no space-time is just Minkowski's tool to quickly, to describe the ether, basically, to describe what my ether predicts.
No, Minkowski is a particular metric which describes the geometry of the space time in that locality. The Minkowski metric describes a flat space time. There are other metrics that can describe a curved space time. So again, I'm going to ask you very directly: does space time curve?
I don't have space time in my theory, but look,
then it is not compatible with GR. So the statement that you're making,
that's not true. That's not. Look, no, it's not true. Listen. I'm not denying. I'm not.
No, you listen. GR.
I'm not denying.
The underpinnings of GR is that mass energy causes a change in the geometry of an environment, basically space-time curvature. If you are telling me that space-time doesn't even exist, then it cannot possibly be compatible with relativity.
Give me a phenomenon, maybe. I might be wrong about this compatibility. It might be that my ether, there is actual curvature. I don't know. I don't know enough. My intuition is I just don't need curvature.
You don't know enough, but you are saying that this theory of yours can supplant relativity.
Because here's my intuition. I'm just going along with my intuition. So my ether creates gravity mechanically. It causes the apple to fall. It flows through the apple and drags it along for the ride. So the apple falls towards.
How is basically what I'm asking for is how is the electron within the apple coupled to the ether? What is the physical mechanism?
It is a wave of ether, just like it is a wave in the quantum field.
So everything is ether, so nothing is ether.
I don't know why you say that.
By just saying that the electron is ether, so therefore it must travel with ether, isn't a mechanism. Because the electron is separate from the air around it.
Right, but the electron is inside a field. If this field starts moving, the electron moves with this field. There is an ocean. Why? It's a wave in an ocean. If the ocean starts moving left and right, the wave moves along for the ride.
The reason why it does so in the ocean is because of pressure. The reason why it does so, an object moves left or right in the ocean, is because the electrostatic force between the electron in the water and the electron of the object repel each other. Hence why things move when pushed by water or anything else.
No, I'm not saying push. I'm saying imagine the ocean. A bunch of the ocean is moving. It's flowing. Let's say there is a wave in a lake, but now the lake is moving because actually it's a river. So these right. The wave moves relative to the surface of the water, but it could be that the entire body of water is moving in a river. So the waves, the electron is the wave. It's waving inside the medium. The medium is flowing because of gravity. The flow of the ether is what causes gravity. Ether flows into the earth and drags things along. And
But you still have not explained to me what the physical mechanism behind the ether and an object. What is it about the ether that causes the object to become coupled with that ether and cause it to move?
okay, so you have a wave. The electron is a wave in the ether. You agree that if I have a wave in a body of water, the wave moves in the body of water. But if the body of water now begins to move as well, the wave doesn't care. The wave moves relative to the body of water. So imagine that wave is the apple. That wave is the electron. That is the apple. And now suddenly there's a moving it's a river and it's moving faster and faster. And this is now the apple starting at infinity, and it's starting to drift into the earth, and it's picking up speed along with.
So the way your analogy is that the apple is a wave within the river being the ether, and that the river is pulling the wave along with it.
Look,
right?
I didn't, not exactly. So you have a river and there's waves in the river. It's a flat river. There's nothing going on. I throw a rock into the river and now I see the wave formation moving out from where I threw the pebble in.
Yeah, those are transverse waves, and they will not move by the wave action itself. The object will move up and down, but not laterally.
No. I'm looking at these waves, but now the lake is not a lake; it's a river, and it's big, and you have a flow, and the waves, the surface waves, are now moving. The surface waves are moving to the left, let's say, and are accelerating because the river is accelerating. Now these waves created by the pebble.
So the wave is coupled to the river.
Yes.
I think you just said that the river is moving the waves. Is that what you just?
Well, the waves are waving in the river. The waves are waving in the river. Of course, they're waving in the water in the river. The waves are.
So what you are wave in the river, that is a disturbance of the river itself.
Exactly.
The wave itself does not have any physicality to it. It is simply the motion. So electrons aren't a thing. Electrons are a physicality of ether.
Exactly. Just like you would say electrons are a disturbance in the electron field. So instead of electron field, I just say ether.
I wouldn't say. I would not say it would be a disturbance in the electric field.
It's right. It's a special type of wave. It's a weird wave. I don't know enough about this wave, but it waves. Certainly a photon. Photon, I would say, is simpler. Photon is a wave, as I would even say, very close, probably very related to the Maxwell's equations.
It can be described as a wave, sure.
So So right, but de Broglie said that everything is a wave, and because of the Higgs, and also I throw in the Higgs mechanism, of course, into my
But no, we're moving too far away. Again,
okay.
I reject the idea that an apple is simply a manifestation of ether,
Why?
because you have not shown to me how that is possible. What is the mechanism via which ether suddenly or why is it that ether becomes an apple?
Well, just
Why do physical or why do electrons, why do particles that we can see and measure, why do they coalesce out of the ether, condense out of the ether?
they wave in the ether, but
But we
this
can
is
see them.
sure.
So we can see them as opposed to the air right next to them.
Wait, what?
So,
Is
okay, you have an apple. You
yeah,
have an apple that is surrounded by air.
but let me
What you are saying
let
is
me
that the apple and
let,
the air are manifestations of the ether. They are
correct.
waves of in the ether or
Yes,
of the ether.
yes.
So what mechanism distinguishes or creates the apple apart from the air around it?
It's different atoms, different molecules, different number of electrons. All I'm saying is that the quantum field theory, it's not the quantum field theory, it's just quantum ether theory. It's just I have gravitational ether and I have quantum ether. And they live together side by side. They live together. And solve
Yeah,
now. I combine GR with quantum mechanics along without even trying.
that is your claim. The problem is that you, by your own admission, have never done an experiment that is predictive.
But I have
So you don't actually know you have done this. You claim to have done this. And the mechanisms that you have developed, you understand how these mechanisms work. Because understanding how the mechanisms work does not make that reality. I know how to create an 18th level paladin. I know how to make that thing. I know how to use the mechanisms within D&D to create this thing. That thing isn't real though.
I look. Um, I have a unified, glorious unified field theory. What do you call it? The ultimate unified field theory.
So there is the grand unifying theory, which is the theory where the weak, strong, and electric fields, or excuse me, electrostatic forces are combined into one. Then you have the theory of everything, or TOE, where you take the gut and you combine that with gravity.
Anyway, I think what I have is a completely unified field theory that I'm unifying everything under the ether, and I'm giving a reason for SR, and since SR was never since the second postulate was never there was never given a mechanism for it, but we know it's true. Well, this proves the ether. This is direct proof of the ether, and since we know apples fall.
As you claim, but you have not you have not shown to me that ether in itself exists. You have simply made the claim that ether is everything. And
No,
I've asked you what makes ether different from the apple and the air around it, and you haven't given me an answer for it.
but okay. So look, I'm not changing quantum field theory. I'm not changing. I'm just putting another layer on.
You continue to say that,
Mm-hmm,
but you're not answering my questions.
mm-hmm,
You, so therefore, I am going to push back
mm-hmm.
on you claiming that you have come up with something that can supplant relativity and supplant quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
While it is true that, and maybe it's just simply me, I am just definitely not the end all be all when it comes to physics and particularly relativity. I cannot give you an explanation as to why the speed of light is constant, why we cannot exceed the speed of light. There may be a reason for it, but I don't know what that is. But as you say, we can see that, we can test it, we know that that holds true. So, what is the problem? Just because we don't understand the mechanism,
but
yet,
I'm giving you a mechanism that explains it, and I'm giving
and
you.
you are saying that this is the correct way of doing it, but you aren't explaining where ether comes from or what ether is in actuality.
Look, my job my job is to reveal one layer of the onion of the unknown, one layer at a time. I think I'm presenting at least one layer. I'm unpeeling at least one layer. I'm combining
You
sRGR
are,
and
well, not really, because you are talking about qualitative phenomenon, and you are coming up with a reason or a rationale why these qualitative phenomenon actually are compatible. How quantum mechanics and GR can be compatible. You're just basically saying ether. You really haven't gone over to with me as to why um, why it is that during Planck time, during a time when you have an exceptionally high gravitational field, an exceptionally small volume, how is it that you can actually predict what the temperature of that region is going to be, what the pressure of that region is going to be? You haven't shown that to me.
I'm not
Or really even
denying,
gone into it.
but I'm
So
not.
the ether is like a broad term, though. It's like an umbrella term for these like subtle forces.
No, 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 no. Look,
You don't think so?
no, no. No. Look, SR, GR, and quantum mechanics. I'm not touching them. I'm not touching any mainstream physics. I'm just putting one layer underneath everything, and I'm combining.
Again, you say that, but we have already gone over curvature.
No, no, no.
You do not believe that
I don't.
you do not believe that that
I don't
space
know.
is curved.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but it's not important because
But
I give you.
yes, it
It's not.
is.
It's not. It's
You
not.
cannot
It's
say
not.
that the ether
It's
is.
not. It's not important. It's not important because I'm giving you a.
Excuse me. Do you have your fingers literally in your ears when you say that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can say it's not. It's not. It's not. As many times as you would like, but you are wrong.
No, but listen. I am giving the mechanism for gravity, for why the apple falls.
You are giving an idea of
Hold on.
why,
Wait,
but
wait, wait.
again,
Let me.
no. I am again going to stress this because you don't seem to be coming to this point. Is that you claim that ether is the mechanism with relativity. By ether is the mechanism for which relativity can be explained, specifically GR. But one of the postulates of GR, one of the foundations of GR, is that space-time is curved.
There's no
You have
contradiction.
rejected
No,
that.
no, no. I didn't. I took it back. It's not important. I don't have a position, and it's
How
not.
do you take that back?
It's not.
If you're going to say that,
I don't
if you're
know.
going to say that you have a mechanism,
have.
how is it that you are waffling as to whether or not
It's not important because
GR works?
look. You pushed back on some things. I get pushed back. I see they're not important. I actually don't have an opinion. I might come back with an opinion. For now, it's irrelevant because I'm giving the only known mechanism for why the apple falls. GR just takes it for given that the apple falls, takes the equivalence principle and throws in a bunch of. It does not?
I have already explained the physical mechanism via which the apple appears to fall.
Okay, but GR assumes the apple falls, right? It assumes the apple falls. Wait,
No,
GR predicts
we
the apple.
see the apple falls.
Exactly.
We see that the
But
apple
why the-
falls,
but
and it
wha-
provides a
What's the
mechanism.
mechanism by which it falls? Why does it fall?
It is traveling along a geodesic,
Why?
which is the
why
shortest
does,
distance between
fine.
two paths.
Why does mass curve space-time? Right? There's no mechanical. You're not giving a mechanical explanation. I'm starting from scratch, from first principles, and I'm giving you a mechanical explanation.
You are not, because you cannot describe to me even what distinguishes between an apple and air in terms of your ether. You cannot provide to me
But
a
I'm not.
concise,
I'm not.
simple. No. If you're going to get on GR for not being able to answer the question of
What?
if you're going to get on GR for not being able to answer your question of why mass energy curves space, you cannot then just say, well, I'll get to explaining
But
why the
I
ether
don't
does
need
what it
to.
does.
I don't need to. I give you the mechanism.
Well, no, how do you not need to?
Because I'm
Apparently,
giving you.
GR needs to do this
But
for
I don't.
you.
I don't need to look. I don't need to derive GR. Einstein derived GR. I'm giving you the mechanics on which GR sits. GR sits on top of, given that there is such a phenomenon known as gravity. Given that there
Okay,
is an
how
equivalent.
does ether curve space-time?
I don't know. I don't know.
Then you haven't done what you've just said you've done. Your question is, how does mass energy cause space-time to curve? You then said that GR is the right description of that. And then you have said that ether is the explanation for why the physical mechanism for curvature.
Let me ask you.
If you can't tell me why, then you haven't answered the question.
Okay, let me ask you. Why do you think? What's your evidence that there is such curvature? That space-time is curved. What's your evidence?
Oh, good Lord. I asked you for evidence for ether and you didn't give me any. But if you'd like to know, there is GPS clocks. There is
one.
There is
just one.
Okay. GPS clocks.
Explain. What do you mean GPS clocks?
You can see time dilation, gravitational
time dilation. No, gravitational time dilation is fully explained by my ether model. The ether flows through the clock, and it slows it down.
How does you asked me for an example of curved space-time? I just gave you one.
No, so you're saying gravitational.
You are saying that
you want me to give you gravitational time dilation, right? My ether.
No, what I want. This is the question I want you to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Why does mass energy curve space-time?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
So look, it's a good question. I don't know, but
then you cannot say the ether is what.
Maybe I can. Hold on. So I asked you, give me a proof that space-time is curved, so that I get a feel. What do I need to show?
This is real simple. This is very simple.
Hold on, but you.
No. Hold on.
Wait,
hold on. Let me detail this for you. This is very simple. Your problem with GR is that GR, for my understanding, again, there could be an explanation. GR cannot explain physically why space is curved. Okay. That is why you have rejected GR.
No, I don't reject GR.
You have not.
Stop saying that.
That is why. Sorry, that is why you have brought ether into this.
No, I didn't. That's not true. I didn't have a plan to bring ether. I didn't have a plan. What are you talking about?
I didn't say you had a plan to bring ether in. I said
no.
You are claiming that ether.
It never happened.
Is ether?
It never. I never had a plan.
I don't know much longer I can do this. Is ether the physical mechanism behind the effects of GR?
Look,
yes or no?
I don't. I can only assume that yes. Like gravitational time dilation, definitely. I can show you. A baby can understand gravitational time dilation. It comes. Yes.
So what else? So yes.
Give me another example. Yes. What else do you want? What else do you want me?
I've already asked you the one question that I want an answer to.
No, give me actual examples. Give me examples. How do you measure?
No, sir. If you're going to say that.
No, how do you measure?
You are going to say that you have.
How do you
If you
measure?
were going to say that you came up with a grand unifying theory for relativity and quantum mechanics, then you need to be able to answer the question of what physically ether is and why it causes mass energy to curve space-time.
Fine. So
This is not a later question. If you are going to make the claim that
wait, what happened? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
What?
No, we can't hear you.
Where did he go?
Let's take a breather. Let's take a breather, ladies and gentlemen.
He might have just cut out.
Yeah, it happens.
Mr. Slave, people can only take you for
Mr. Slave, we do love you, and it is a joy to hear you every time you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speak for yourself, Glory. Mr. Slave, you're actually quite tedious.
What?
You haven't answered anything in 1 hour. I've not heard a single fact come from you in 1 hour. Could you please just maybe quicken it up a little bit? It is being tedious.
Where is you? You want me to continue with you, Omnivore?
Professor Parks. Are you there? You gave him a stroke, Mr. Slave. Congratulations.
I'm sorry.
Your circular talk and empty word salad. There's not even soy meat in your word salad, bro. It's that unnutritionist. There's zero fiber content in your word salad, Mr. Slave.
Yeah.
Well, we do love you, Mr. Slave.
Thank you.
Clearly, there's something to what you're talking about.
No, don't say that. Don't
there
say
is
that.
nothing to what Mr.
back.
Slave is talking about.
Welcome back.
Do you spend
Dr.
a lot of time shining that shield?
Mr. Parks, please,
Doctor.
if you can continue with Mr. Slave, if you need to drop out, we all know him and understand.
This has been very educational for, I think, everyone listening, Dr. Parks, and I really appreciate the level of patience that you're showing with this, because it's I'll just
Thank you, because I am rapidly losing my patience. So
you guys can't see it, but he has worn a hole in his floor with his heel.
Take your meds.
So,
Hey,
all
Mr.
right.
Slade, maybe I can ask you this as a foil. What evidence would you have that your conception would do anything at all better than the existing theory?
There's no explanation. There's
I thought you were gonna say, "What the fuck?"
There's no mechanical explanation for why.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm gonna stop you there.
Yo, let him talk,
Great.
man. Everyone's speaking over him all the time.
No, they're not.
Right.
I want a straight answer, because he just keeps
Relax.
prevaricating and not getting anywhere.
Well, just
I asked
take
you a
what he gives
specific
you.
question. Glory, please stop white knighting. What
It's not
is
a white
the-
knight.
It is so white knight.
It is so white knight,
Glory.
Glory. It's okay. We love you, but
Or
just
your white
It's a
horse that you rode in
beautiful
on
horse,
ran
man.
off, bro.
That horse
just-
is
just
fucking
one
beautiful.
thing that it will do better. I don't care whether you think it's more elegant or more mechanical. I'm a pragmatic guy. Tell me why I should invest in your company. What is it going to do better?
What do you mean? I mean, there is no reason for Einstein's second postulate. It's like it's
Okay,
a
that's
gate.
not answering my question either. So, what is it going to do better? GPS would not function without relativity. The signal, we would be off by kilometers over the course of the error would accumulate to the point where it would no longer be usable, and we can show you the data for that. So that's an example of something relativity is necessary for in our day-to-day life.
I know.
What can you point to?
I can-
What can you point to?
Well,
as
it's
a
difficult.
prediction or a consequence of your theory that would do something like that?
So two things come out. One thing is that I can make. We discussed my vertical particle accelerator. Second is we resolved Michelson and Morley. Third is to pass the second postulate. Fourth is we can finally understand quantum mechanics, and we can finally stop investing in the superposition and the quantum computing nonsense. This will save trillions of dollars.
What? No, oh my God! You think you have the theory of everything?
Yeah, he
Oh,
literally
Jesus
does. Okay, that
Christ.
yeah, I got nothing.
does.
That's a big non-answer for me.
Well, if you have
Welcome,
the theory of
NASA Shield, the
everything, please
conversation.
invite.
Nobody
Wait, time
used to
out. Hang
listen.
on. How the fuck does NASA Shill lose to Mr. Slave every time? How is that even possible?
Invite
Dr.
me.
Parks, did you have a reaction to that? Because I felt like that was a very non-answer for me, and I tend to be a pragmatic guy, and this is the same question I like to ask like the ether cosmologists and stuff, and that was very unsatisfying for me.
No, that's a great question, and really that is the ultimate question when in terms of trying to supplant one theory with another one. Is what can this new theory do that the current theory can't? And yes, that was a complete non-answer, and basically was making claims that are not in evidence. So he continues to say that it provides, or the second postulate of special relativity is not needed, but he doesn't explain why or how the ether does. He doesn't explain how the ether gets rid of that quote unquote problem. So, yeah, that's my reaction. Is that it is a non-answer.
I had this conversation with Mr. Slave, and one of the things that I came up with was, since it's the way he describes it, there should be a method in which because we can measure, gravitational influence on an apple. And I was saying, shouldn't we be able to then measure his ether at my table? And he just has no possible idea of how to do that. So I don't think he grasps what he's even saying when he makes those claims.
Mr. Slave was at the Ether Boys this morning complaining about the server and how he's been here and for 4 days and been beaten up and had to leave the server, but now he's back again, obviously.
Oh, you were over at I thought you got banned from ether cosmology.
I think it's like leave.
Earth Awakenings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to get unbanned from the Ether Boys, I guess.
They banned you, Marty? What did you do? Did you ask about flat Earth? Is that why they banned you? Because they hate it when you do that.
Oh, I don't know who knows.
That's like their funnel chamber where they try to talk more about the abstract cosmology stuff to bait people into the flat Earth. It's
Yeah,
like
they just see my name and then I get banned.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Slave, from the beginning, I told you you remember well that we had the first conversation we had, and then I brought Omnivore in. I told you that this isn't necessarily this idea of incorporating an ether into GR, and I can provide you with papers. It's not necessarily a bad idea. You're just going about it in the worst way possible, and it's a dead end, buddy. That's all. And I don't know how many people it's going to take. I mean, Dr. Parks is way more qualified than I am or anyone else on the server to tell you this.
Wait. I don't know about that. I've been learning physics for 4 years, self-taught, mind you, and I feel that I'm pretty close to the theory of everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Only 4 years, Sean.
Don't let that PhD fool all you guys. Just a few months of YouTube University, you could have just the same education as him, and then tell him he's wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, C-Line.
I'm just the top of.
C-Line, did you organize this session with Professor Parks just for me?
No, sir. Professor Parks was here. You happened to be here, and the prior topic of conversation was why the server is so gay. So I figured anything would be preferable to get Dr. Parks talking about interesting topics in physics than that. So we went to your theory.
Yeah,
that was the sequence of events.
Yeah, I came on here as a lark. I was just kind of seeing what was going on, and that's what was going on.
And I would agree. This server is definitely happy, joyous, and very free.
There you go, buddy.
Fair enough.
Okay, what's up, Andrew?
Wait, Professor Parks, you teach physics?
Yeah. As it happens, I am teaching a cosmology course right now.
Wow.
I'm an astronomer by trade, but yes, I do teach physics on occasion.
Would it be possible for you to visit my server sometimes, and we can further, maybe like I can like we can have further discussions?
What's your server?
I'll send you a link.
Okay. Again, I'm on my phone, so I will have to.
It's not now. I mean, for any other time. Right now, I'm here. So, but in general, yeah.
Sure.
Mr. Slave, could you do me a quick favor?
Hmm.
Could you say Einstein 3 times in a row fast?
Einstein, Einstein, Einstein. Jesus Christ. Why is everyone here so gay? Why?
I'm happy, choice, and free, bro. I don't know about you. I'll say it 3 times.
I had to
fast.
mute myself for that.
Einstein, Einstein, Einstein. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
I guess while you're here, Dr. Parks, one of the things that we've been struggling with, are you familiar with the whole Wang interferometer and that thing?
No, unfortunately, I'm not.
Okay.
Is that the one of? I've only heard of that from the Ether Boys.
Correct. That's where I heard about it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, theoretically, or it's supposed to have shown that the speed of light is altitude dependent. Is that what that does?
Yeah.
This one is the one that claims to do absolute velocity measurements. So I posted it in. Oh, I don't know if you can look at it, but my understanding is that all it really did, and it was a clever way to try to do it, is they had like these carousels, and then there was like a linear section of fiber optic in between them. And what Wang claimed is that you could reduce the Sagnac effect to only the linear part. And then by putting this little thing on a slide conveyor on the other side of the apparatus, he claimed to be able to remove the relative portion so you could just measure absolute velocity or something. I'm not exactly sure. I might be confusing. So I think the issue is he did that in an experiment and he found the ability to express the Sagnac effect in terms of linear velocity. But then in his patent, he claimed the ability to measure absolute velocity using the system. And the Ether Boys conflate the two and say that they did the same thing. But
yeah, I haven't looked. I'm aware of that paper. I'm aware of. Now that you've refreshed my memory, I'm aware of the claim, but I haven't really looked into it.
Okay, gotcha.
Right now, my focus. Yeah, right now my focus is on outside of my day job is iconic is alternative cosmologies like neo-Tychonic systems, that sort of thing, put forth by Stephen Alonso. Well, actually, it's Dr. Alonso, who apparently got his degree from Trump University, which I think is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
he apparently got a numerical flat Earth model, so I really want to check that out. But right now, I've been reading through a couple of neo-Tychonic models.
Gotcha. Cool. So like the Popov paper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there any other papers other than the Popov one that are like at a similar level of rigor? I mean, that one's pretty short, but
as far as I'm aware, so I have read. Right now, I'm going through a paper or a book rather, by Shane Shack, Mr. Shack. I can't remember his first name. No, it's not. It's definitely not at that level.
Gotcha.
I've read Sun Genesis, Dr. Sun Genesis, and he is not at that level. Whom I need to look into is Dr. Bennett, because Dr. Bennett has apparently actually done the physics behind the neo-Tychonic model, which, from my understanding, is relational mechanics. So basically, Popov.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up was Dr. Bennett. Because he's supposedly has a working neo-Tychonic model. I was going to inform you.
So Dr. Bennett, He hangs out with the Ether Boys, Dr. Parks, and I actually am. I think I'm on decent terms with him. I have been in email contact with him, but he has he has a lot of interesting ideas.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I don't wanna. This conversation is very fascinating, but I'll stay here. Let's get back. I hope I got this recording. Let's check the recording that everything is fine. That's good. Let's listen to halfway. So this is a debate. Debate with, and his name is. Wait, he's Chinese. You know, there's no way to copy this. This doesn't make any sense. Profile. Okay. So I'm debating. Okay, debate with this guy. Oh, he's on YouTube. Wow. Excellent. Okay. All right, let's continue with do I really want to continue with this? I don't know. I don't like it. You know, we need to spend more time with um either YouTube, just in general. Let me see. How should Israel effectively respond to Iran? Wait, did he have a show? Did I miss the show?
The questions are going to be now.
Notification on, but there was no show. This is yesterday. I watched the whole thing, so that's irrelevant. He has a Discord? Deleted user. There are no recent announcements, introduction. Comments, videos, system, general. There's two discussions, but there's no one here. Okay. So it's it says that there's 32 online. You were in voice chat channel and you left? I left my voice chat channel? I did? How did that happen? Okay. So I'm beginning to get tired. We can move this server to here. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Discord only allows one tab. Can't have two tabs open for Discord. Okay, let's see if there's anything interesting on the YouTube. Wait, what's the status of our channel? 185. We're not growing. Mathematical method. Anyway, max afterburner.
See any MiGs, so we're gonna do a scan of the area.
Real fighter pilot, dogfights, everything. He has a mustache, so he's ex-Air Force apparently, or just ex-fighter, whatever, ex-pilot. So usually when I fly Flight Simulator, and I've noticed this with other pilots,
Air master mode.
when you bank to the right, I need my head to stay straight with the ground level. I can't sit like this. So maybe he trained himself to. I could never do that. My head always tilts when I do that.
All right, it is kind of a game of cat and mouse. I guess you never know what's going to come out and play here.
Wait, what did he do? I missed this at the last second. Did he pull up?
All right, so that's 4 SA2s defended against.
What is an SA2?
Defending against more.
So usually when you want to pick up height, you roll. You always roll into whatever you do. You roll into your
Death Wish?
into any position.
SA2 ring. There's gonna be a shit ton of AAA2 in this town. I ain't scared. All right, SA2 spike right 2 o'clock. Ooh, look at that factory.
So
it's just
his head moves. So these are actual VR glasses. So he's using VR glasses. Because I don't see him.
The outskirts of its ring, so it's not going to hit us.
The way his head moves is exactly
in the clouds like
what
this,
we
so
see.
careful, because what if they're touching the mountains?
And he has that sensor to his right. You see.
Boom. Good threat reaction. I'm like patting myself on the back. I'm like, good. You're cool.
What's that noise?
All right, here we go. My mom thinks I'm cool. That's all that matters. Next Saturday, band, bringing the tunes. That's what's up. I kind of want to dogfight a little bit, guys, just to end this stream. Just because.
How long has he been streaming?
You know what I mean?
Oh, just an hour. Oh, this is the US.
Put him off of our left side.
Okay.
Oh, shit, he's hauling ass.
Let's see what else is up. Cause of magnitude of downward acceleration. That's funny. What do you mean?
Herman distances of stars. Okay. So now when people say, and I've heard flat earthers say this a lot, that they make claims about inverse square law in stars. And then I do the same thing. I say, well, let's go through the math. And they do the same thing. They refuse to do the math. So the people that are not scared to do the math would be astronomers. In fact, they rely on the math. It's part of the measurement. So, for example, if
oh, that's such a convenience. So you have a camera pointing directly at your paper, so you're showing. Oh, that's what I should do. So I should start working with just with
something
a
is
paper.
farther away,
If you're just
it's not
running
as
a
bright.
measurement on a paper, what does it do? It's just numbers. Like what?
Well,
how are you getting that distance? That's the point.
Yeah. It's a great.
Appeal to tradition fallacy. So I heard his
Boss,
video.
I had this wonderful idea to boost the productivity of the company.
Oh my god. Relax, dude. Relax, chill. So I saw a video Why logic fails.
Many people would
Very interesting video. So listen to this.
claim nowadays that being able to elaborate correct arguments, being articulate or being capable of communicating your reasoning in a clear and logical way is of the utmost importance. And please don't take me wrong, I am one of those. Okay, I have a philosophy YouTube channel, right? I really love
The fact that you have a philosophy channel does not mean that you're one of those. And that's not even evidence that you're one of those. You have a philosophy channel because you enjoy philosophy. This is what you're good at. This is not because you believe that philosophy is a practical tool, or that is not evidence that you believe that philosophy is a practical tool.
enjoy critical thinking, elaborating good arguments, using logic in my daily life, right? Even if that's, not the most socially sexy thing to do. Yes, logical arguments have a huge, huge value in my life. And I think it should be something that we need to promote even further in society. However, if you are someone who, as me, enjoys, using logic in your daily life, but when you go outside, you go to the world, then you notice that, actually, I'm using logical arguments and I'm not persuading anyone. It's very dramatic because you're very sure that you're elaborating a correct argument. And then someone may appear, uses a fallacy, and that person, gets all the credit. And that person, is being admired by everyone and, followed by a bunch of people who are not realizing that they're being, logically scammed at this point, right? And for many years, I found that infuriating, because let's not hide the truth, okay? We all, the logical nerds, dream of a world in which logical arguments, are the main engine, the main pusher of society, whatever. Yeah, that's a dream. We may want to aspire to have that one day. Well,
Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But he thinks at the end of the day that
Sure, that will never happen.
logic does not work. Instead,
But yeah, I think we have that inner desire of having a more logical world, right? But when we see these examples, of people getting away with fallacies or whatever we sort, then yes, what to do? Or better, only by means of keeping a correct argument. That means that you're done. That means you didn't listen. I am right. I go home. I still. So what are the limits of logic, right? You may want. There's another component that is more linked to our animality, let's say, to our biological way of being. That it's beyond just pure reason. And this, animality, as I'm calling it now, this, strong link to our emotions. Is actually the main driver of persuasion. And people who study body language have realized this long, long ago. They're different.
so he thinks it's body language and presentation. Anyway, so what do you call it? Public choice theory has already explained why a logical argument is bound to fail. Contact me if you want me to explain. Is it done? Okay, back to YouTube. I think I'm gonna go soon. Gravity as a gauge theory. I don't even know what that means. Isotopes, view of the Beirut skyline. Let's see Beirut. Oh my. Oh my God. Israel is demolishing Beirut. Square negative 1 is reasonably effective.
Complex numbers can sometimes seem like magic, or as some people would call them,
Audio so low.
unreasonably effective. They're just so useful in so many contexts that they seem to have no business being involved in. For instance, you might have heard of Fourier analysis, which says we can break any signal down into a sum of sine and cosine waves. Well, it turns out that if you swap out the real sinusoids and real coefficients for complex sinusoids and complex coefficients, the analysis gets a lot easier. Electrical engineers will also use
That's just a convenience because of the exponential is easier to take derivatives and integrals of. That's just a convenience. The imagine. I don't think the imaginary part means anything.
Complex numbers to analyze certain types of circuits. The model component.
Again, you're showing a wave. It has to do with the waves. It's just because it's convenient for the notation. That's all.
And voltages with complex numbers, and this somehow lets them get around having to solve differential equations. Jumping to discrete math, you can craft a special type of function called a generating function. And if you evaluate it with complex numbers, you can solve a subset counting problem. Quantum mechanics uses complex numbers all the time to predict the behavior
No, it doesn't. It's a wave equation.
of real particles all around us, and does so with astonishing accuracy. It's actually responsible for the most accurate prediction ever made in the history of science. The imaginary number I was first discovered / invented as a necessity to solve certain polynomials, but now it's managed to worm its way into so many other parts of math, science, and engineering. Why do all these applications need the square roots of negative numbers? This isn't a new question, and there are a lot of justifications out there on why I is so fundamental.
Well, all of your examples are waves, so it's just a cosine. The version of the exponential that represents the cosine is just a convenience, but the I part has no meaning in the solution to the wave. The wave just needs the cosine. The imaginary sign is thrown to the garbage.
A lot of the time, they lean on Euler's formula. Now, Euler's formula is super cool, but
That's all it is. All we need is the cosine, and this version is just a convenience.
I don't think it's a good answer here. I think it justifies the mechanics of using complex numbers, but to me, it doesn't really explain the core properties of those numbers. I believe the reason complex numbers are so effective is because a single complex number.
So you see, I believe this has nothing to do. I don't think he's going to prove anything or demonstrate. He's just, I believe.
Captures two properties at the same time, magnitude and phase. And on top of that, complex numbers also capture the transformation of these properties. That is, complex numbers also represent scaling and rotating. Now, I'm by no means the first person to connect complex numbers to rotation. However, these properties are usually presented as a neat byproduct of the way complex multiplication works. But that just feels so unsatisfying to me. It feels like the only reason for using the complex numbers is that the mechanics just happen to mirror the problem we're applying them to. So today, I want to flip the script. I think that scaling and rotating are the fundamental behaviors of complex numbers, and the square root of -1 was actually just a symptom and not a cause. While it might seem like I'm just splitting hairs here, I think this viewpoint helps demystify the complex numbers by getting to the heart of what they really are. And so the connection to the problems we apply them to becomes more intimate. It's not that they just happen to work really well, by coincidence. They're intrinsically the types of numbers that you want to use. We'll justify this viewpoint by deriving the complex numbers from scratch. We'll start out with some objects that have magnitude and phase, and we'll show that just by thinking about them geometrically, you unavoidably end up discovering the square root of -1 and the complex numbers as a whole. Before we get into that, though, I think a good thing to talk about is what does it even mean for a number to have phase? It's actually quite easy to demonstrate what having phase means by making an analogy to waves. Here, I have a red and blue wave, both of which have the same amplitude. Remember, the amplitude of a wave is just how tall it is, and the phase of a wave tells us how much it's been shifted left or right. We'll fix the phase of the red wave, and we'll play around with the phase of the blue wave. We're particularly interested in the sum of the red and blue waves, which I'll draw as this purple wave. Now, if the red and blue waves are perfectly in phase, the amplitude of the purple wave will be the sum of the amplitude of the red and blue waves. But if the red and blue waves are out of phase by pi radians or 180 degrees, they'll perfectly cancel out, and the purple wave will have an amplitude of 0. Now, if the red and blue waves are only partially out of phase, then they'll only partially cancel out. The lesson here is that even though the red and blue waves have the same fixed amplitudes, their sum could have a range of amplitudes based on their phase difference. Real numbers don't exhibit these kind of behaviors. Real numbers do indeed have a notion of amplitude. It's their absolute value, or how far from zero they are on a number line. But unlike waves, which have a range of possible phases, real numbers only have two distinct phases, positive and negative. Two real numbers with the same amplitude can constructively interfere if they have the same phase. That is, if they have the same sign. So for instance, 3 plus 3 gives you 6. Their amplitudes have added. Real numbers can also destructively interfere if they're completely out of phase. That is, if they have opposite signs. So for instance, 3 plus -3 gives you 0. They both have the same amplitude, but it cancels out. Unfortunately, real numbers that have the same amplitude can't partially cancel out. Complex numbers can do this, though. As an example, take the numbers 1 and I. They both have a magnitude of 1. The sum of their magnitudes is then 2. If we take the magnitude of their sum, though, we get the square root of 2, which is about 1.4. So adding them together made them cancel out a bit, but not completely. We'll now prove to ourselves that magnitude and phase are the true fundamental properties of complex numbers. We'll start by assuming that we have some generic polar objects with these properties, and we'll see that this assumption, along with just some simple geometric reasoning, is all it takes to end up with the square root of -1. Real quick, we'll use this notation to denote a polar object with magnitude A and phase theta, and I'll pronounce it as A angle theta. Since our polar objects have magnitude and phase, we can visualize them as arrows on a 2D plane. A polar object basically tells you how far to walk from the origin and in what direction. Adding two polar objects means that we want to follow the directions of the first polar object and then follow the directions of the second polar object. Geometrically, this means starting the second arrow where the first one ends, and the sum is an arrow that goes from the beginning of the first arrow to the end of the second. Now, remember that we want our polar objects to also represent rotation and scaling. Since the magnitude of a polar object is a scalar and its phase is an angle, it's natural to have a polar object with magnitude b and phase phi represent the combined transformations of scaling by a factor b and rotating by an angle of b radians. We can use multiplication to apply this transformation to other polar objects.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe he has something. Open source hardware geometric algebra. Electron spin video.
Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at section 11.8 on electron spin. This is a component of quantum mechanics. The details of it are a little hard to get your head around, at least they were for me. And so we're going to treat this in sort of a more classical way. But let's start at the beginning. So it was the early 1920s, a couple of physicists put together an experiment in which they shot electrons out of this oven. You may recall that in J.J. Thomson's cookie dough model, he just heated up a coil and electrons came off of it, and he was able to shoot those electrons at a screen. This is a little bit similar in which this blue line here represents an electron gun, a stream of electrons coming out. What's different here is that Dr. Stern Gerlach has a North Pole and a South Pole, and what they expect.
No, this is silver atoms. This is not electrons. Electrons would all go in the same direction.
expected to get, if the mechanics of Isaac Newton had been correct, is it would have been a solid line would have shown up on the screen here. What in fact happened is they got 2 points, 1 point of light right up here and 1 point of light right down here with nothing in between.
That's not true. It depends on the intensity of the magnets. When the magnets were low intensity, everything was at the center. And as they increased the magnitude of the magnets, the two beams started splitting in two. In the beginning, it was one, and then slowly started splitting in two.
And what this told them is that some of the electrons were attracted to the, let's say this is the North Pole, and went this way. The rest of the electrons were attracted to the South Pole and went this way. But none of the electrons were in between. And so the takeaway from this is that electrons were behaving like tiny little magnets. And people wanted to find out why that was.
Electrons were behaving like tiny little magnets? That's not the question. The question is, why is there a separation? So the answer is because of the intensity of the magnet. The magnet just splits. I would say that, so the intensity of the magnet causes the electrons to align, to choose an alignment. So in the beginning, it wasn't so strong and they were all in the center. And as you increase the magnitude, you're forcing some of them to align up and some of them to align down because of the direction of this apparatus. So that when you increased it more and more and more, you align them more and more and more until they separate in two. I don't think that this proves that angular momentum is quantized.
Was happening. So into the picture comes this guy named Wolfgang Pauli. There's a picture of him later in life. I think he was Austrian during World War II, or maybe just before World War II. He emigrated to the United States, where he worked at Princeton for a few years, but eventually he went back to Europe and he lived most of his life in Switzerland after that. He could have a bit of an acerbic personality, but he was absolutely brilliant. He got his PhD in physics at the age of 21, for example. A little bit of a colorful character. He ended up marrying a cabaret dancer at one point in his life, although that didn't last particularly long. But one of the things Pauli suggested is that electrons are spinning. Now, this is where you got it gets a little tricky here, because when we think of spinning, we think of basketball spinning or the Earth spinning on its axis or bowling balls rolling, and we're used to things that are spinning, right? But electrons aren't spinning that way.
An electron is not a particle, and an electron is a wave, and it's waving around the nucleus of the atom. I have a Discord message. Or do I? I don't even know. Let me see my phone. 3 minutes ago. Oh, he accepted the friend request. Okay, got it. Wait, but he also has a channel. Mm-hmm. Never mind. Let's get back to here.
It's a different kind of spin. And so what most people do, is they say, look, I'm just going to pretend that the electrons are actually rotating around an axis, and that's going to make it easier for me to understand. And we do that even though we know that's not what's really happening. One of the reasons that doesn't make a lot of sense is that the electrons are point particles, which means they don't have any volume. Or if they do, they don't have any volume.
They're not point, they're waves.
Volume that any experiments human beings have ever done have been able to measure. Right? So something with no volume can't rotate around an axis. You need to have some volume for that idea to even make sense. But we're going to brush that under the chemistry rug, and we're going to pretend that electrons are in fact spinning. And one of the things that does is it makes electrons behave like magnets with a north pole and a south pole. And we represent.
But we're talking about a silver atom with, I think, 46 electrons, and this is the last electron on the outermost shell, and it's either, anyway, it's spinning around. I don't know. Spinning around the nucleus? I don't know.
That spin with this arrow. And so one of the things you're going to be seeing a lot from now on in this chapter of chemistry are arrows. And those arrows are indicating the direction that the electron is spinning. You could do this with your right hand, for example. If you take your right hand and you curl your fingers in the direction the yellow arrow is pointing, right? Curl your fingers like that. Your thumb is naturally going to point up in the direction that the green arrow is pointing. That's sometimes called the right hand rule. But these arrows that you're going to start seeing represent electron spin. And so what this means is that you can have electrons spinning up if the arrow points up, or electrons can be spinning down if the electron points down. And I'm going to leave it at that, because for the purposes of chemistry, that's good enough. Now let's take a look at some new notation here. First of all, we're talking about helium. Helium has 2 electrons. This box represents the 1s orbital. You may recall that 1s orbital is the ground state. 1 means it has the least amount of energy. It's the smallest orbital. S means it's a spherical orbital. It's spherical in shape. We know that the 1s orbital can hold 2 electrons. Now, if you go back and
I don't know how can you have a spherical orbital? I don't know what that means, and I don't know how do we know that this is true.
look at the section previous to this one, any s orbital can hold 2 electrons, and now we're in a position to understand why. One of those electrons is going to spin up, and the other electron is going to spin down. What's going on with that? Why can't they spin any direction they want? The reason has to do with the fact that, let's come back to this picture, electrons are always negative. And what that means is that 2 like charges repel each other with a pretty strong electric force. That means these electrons want to get as far away from each other as possible. And what we're trying to do is cram both of them into this 1s orbital. Well, here's the thing. If they're spinning in opposite directions, this North Pole and the South Pole are going to attract each other. And down on this end, this South Pole and this North Pole are going to attract each other. That goes a certain way towards offsetting this electrical repulsion. So the idea here is that these arrows represent 2 electrons that do not want to be near each other. And by having them spin in opposite directions, we offset that repulsion just a little bit, right?
That's incredible.
If you want to talk about it in physics terms, you would say having the electrons spinning in opposite directions is more stable or is a lower energy state than if we had them spin in the same direction. So
I don't know how you can have a wave that Bohr showed, waves around the nucleus. How is that simultaneously spinning around itself? Jesus, what a mess. I still haven't figured that out. Jesus. Okay, we'll stop here. It was a good debate. It was a good discussion. See you tomorrow. Bye.